two things before I actually get into this video. One, I wish I had known about this tweet before I did my bed bucking Hall of Shame entry for Jonathan Isaac, because I definitely would have incorporated that in there. But also, two, it looks like this might turn into an ongoing series of videos of how woke became a joke, because this is definitely going to be a part 3. So who knows? It's crazy how part 3 is stemming from him, and he's getting a second entry into the bed bucking Hall of Shame, again stemming from him. So this is a tweet that Jonathan Isaac posted up on his Twitter account on June 6, 2023. And we're going to go over this and just look at listen to how ridiculous he sounds. But what's even more interesting was what a person tweeted in response to him that was rated as the top comment because of the reception it got, but we'll get there in due time. It says, being woke was never about being a victim. It was never about a perpetual pessimism that you couldn't succeed unless other people did for you. Being woke was about progress in the face of real injustice and systemic racism. It was about overcoming, but with less injustice and systemic racism, they want you to believe you're even more helpless. Wokeism today is about pushing harmful ideologies that care nothing about the minorities' backs they rode in on. Their values will not lead to prosperity, and minorities will be left out as their agendas take center stage. The real woke today are the people clinging to Christ and traditional values that truly lead to human flourishing. Those two things have no color. The real question is, will the door be open for the mass exodus that will take place as Christ and traditional values are thrown away? Can it be better open now? Would the Christ and values we love and want to uphold be better on display? My goal is to help open that door and keep it open for everyone. Like I said, this guy writes and has the mindset of a PC man, especially when he talks about Christ and all this other stuff like that. Again, this is why a lot of black people are like divesting away from religion, especially Christianity, because as you can see in recent years, Christianity has now become I guess you could say a codified language for dub S. Look at all the dub S's out here who peddle Christ and Christianity in one breath and then be anti-black in the next breath. Sometimes they are very good and cunning and will do it all in the same breath. And that's what he's doing here. And if y'all remember, if you look back to the one that I just recently did on him, then you will see that it's definitely his mind is all listen, maybe he needs a CAT scan or something done to examine what's going on in that head of his, an MRI, whatever it is, something. Because this guy is completely off the rails, or he is grifting as hard as he possibly can. Now we're going to really go back over what he said. I really kind of went in more so on towards the end, but I want to go back and pick apart because it's so easily debunked. But let's continue. It says, being woke was never about being a victim. It was never about a perpetual pessimism that you couldn't succeed unless other people did for you. Let's just pause right there. If I was in front of Jonathan Isaac, which I probably wouldn't want to be, I would just simply ask him to define woke. That's literally what my stance is now when it comes to people who bastardize and misuse this word, is to define it. And none of them can. As a matter of fact, when I posted the reel, on Instagram they're called reel, on YouTube they're called shorts. It was a 1-minute clip of the video that I did about Michelle Rodriguez, and someone had wrote some nonsense and they put the word woke in there, and I asked them to define it. They couldn't do it. I asked them twice. After that, I stopped talking to them, and the people who follow me, they just started going back and forth with this individual in the comment section. I think it's pretty much subsided after a few days, but I just asked them to define it and they can't do it. As a matter of fact, what Jonathan Isaac is saying right here is pretty much what the person on Twitter was on Instagram was trying to say, but in different framing. Like I said, they have literally made variants of this word and completely destroyed it. And this guy right here, Jonathan Isaac, who, as far as I know, is a black man. He is a black man, is using their term, their version of it. I guess that's true what they say. The white man's ice probably is colder. Not to me, though. He says being woke was about progress in the face of real injustice and systemic racism. It was about overcoming, but with less injustice and systemic racism. They want you to believe you're even more helpless. No, that's not what it meant. We keep telling people to be back then. Well, when the framing of woke was a thing, when it would actually, when we concocted it, and what it actually meant was to be socially and politically aware. Just aware of our surroundings, just aware of the world around us. That's it. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's a very easy defining. It's a very easy definition. But when you bastardize it and you misuse it and you turn it into all of this stuff, then it gets lost in translation. The definition loses its meaning, which was always their intent anyway. I mean, we live in a nation full of colonizers and people with a colonized mindset, such as Jonathan Isaac. He says wokeism today, and I hate that they call it wokeism. Woke is because it's basically saying, you know, you have racism, and then now they say wokeism. Anyway, wokeism today is about pushing harmful ideologies that care nothing about the minorities' backs they rode in on. Their values will not lead to prosperity, and minorities will be left out as their agendas take center stage. Now, I'm glad he said agendas, because that's what it is. It's not no damn wokeism. If you want to call it an agenda, fine, but let it just be that. Don't say it's wokeism. Just say that it's an agenda. That's it. He says the real woke today are the people clinging to Christ. And this is going back to what I was saying earlier. He said the real woke today are the people clinging to Christ. So basically, if you're not a Christian, or you're not clinging to Christ, like Jonathan Isaac says in this tweet, you're considered, I guess, the opposite of woke. I'm trying to understand what he's saying here. I don't even think he understands what he put out here. He says the real woke today are the people clinging to Christ. My thing is, what version of Christ is you talking about? Because, you know, everybody got their own little version. Which version is he talking about? I think we know. He says in traditional values that truly lead to human flourishing, the two things have no color. Look at that. The two things have no color. So he's one of those all lives matter. We are the world. Let's hold hands. Heal the world. Kumbaya. Mofos. Negroes. He's one of them. And then he says the real question is, will the door be open for the mass exodus that will take? I'm not. Listen, this guy, I think it's clear to see why he's peaked at 25 when it comes to the NBA. I think he probably knows he's on his way out the door, but this is what he's trying to do. This is his grift. OK, this is nothing more than a grift. I don't even believe he believes any of the stuff that's coming out of his mouth. But if he feels it'll gain him an audience and give him some kind of clout, he's going to go ahead and cling on to it anyway. Which leads me into what I said at the beginning of this video, when I wanted y'all to see the top comment that someone left in response to what he said. So this is the top comment right here from this person that says #1. I'm guessing that's supposed to be #1 American, and their username is that's Uno, replying to Jonathan Isaac's tweet that we just went over. And as you can see, it's a white woman. She says, amen. Not the biggest fan of your kind, but you definitely are one of the good ones. Jonathan Isaac, stay strong and faithful. This is very easy to break down. Not the biggest fan of your kind, aka you niggas. But you definitely are one of the good ones, aka one of the good Negroes that, you know, we don't have to worry about. You're of no threat. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we talk about when we talk about Candace, Fakem, ABL, Greg Foreman, the Hodge twins, and now Jonathan Isaac. This tweet may have been directed to Jonathan Isaac, but that's how the majority of them see you, and they have no problem with that. That should be classified as a mental disorder, in my opinion. Something that needs to be diagnosed. I don't know if there's a cure for it. It probably isn't. And, you know, if it's up to me, it definitely isn't, because the cure means that when they're done with you, you're going to try to run your ass back over here. You ain't coming back over here. Honestly, I think a lot of the ones who do the stuff that they do were never really locked in step with us to begin with. I think they've always been on the outside. And a lot of them will say, oh, they were bullied because of this, that, and the third. I said, that's just one part of the story. What's the whole thing? Because sometimes y'all be doing and saying some of the weirdest things that causes people to quote unquote bully you. A lot of the times y'all bring the bullying on yourselves. Let's tell the whole story or not tell it at all. People will love to say, oh, they talked about me like this. They said this about me. Well, my thing is, what did you say? Because I swear, if someone like Candace Owens says that she was bullied when she was in school, I am more than inclined to ask, what did you do or say that made them want to quote unquote bully you? Because when we look at the stuff that she says now, I'm willing to bet that this girl was a bitch when she was in high school. Because she's a bitch as an adult. And Jonathan Isaac, based on his track record and how he's been when it comes to how black people respond to certain things, this guy's an asshole. He's a prick. And that's why he's doing and saying the stuff that he is now, because people push back against him. And now because he feels like he may be a target or someone's so-called bullying him, this is his way of pushing back, and he's trying to look for a new audience. And this person right here, that's his new audience. Those who be saying, oh, you're so smart, you know, good job, Jonathan, you're going to have a bright future ahead of you. Most of y'all didn't even know who the hell Jonathan Isaac was until he started talking like this. The minute that he started to display his coonism, since they want to throw isms into every damn thing, ever since he started to display his coonism, that's when people started to notice him. He's locked in now, and he's going to have to play by their rules. See, my thing, like I said, he's peaking right now at 25, which is very early to peak in your career as an NBA player. Usually, well, yeah, it's very early, because he would think that maybe he would have an additional 10 years. But from my knowledge, this guy is about as fragile as wet Kleenex, meaning he's very accident prone. He keeps getting injured, so he has to find a way to continue paying these bills. Because he know the NBA ain't going to be here. I have a feeling he's going to be out of the NBA before he's 30. Or by the time he's 30, which means he has about 5 years. I think he's 25 now. I don't think he's going to make it to 30 as far as an NBA career goes. So that's why he's doing this stuff now. The bed bucking Hall of Shame that I posted about him doing this anti-woke pro-Christian apparel that I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to, which I believe is another reason why he's doing this, because he needs to find an audience to buy it, because black people ain't going to touch it. And quiet as it's kept, those PC individuals out there with common sense won't touch it either. Because one would think, if he actually thought, will know when people are kissing their ass. So good luck, Jonathan Isaac. But people like this person on your screen that tweeted this, who has the top comment, that is who he is talking to. That's who he's trying to appease. He's definitely not talking to us. He's probably talking at us or throwing jabs with the comments that he makes, but this is the audience he wants to garner. Because he knows he is pretty much burnt out when it comes to the NBA. It was probably not even many people buying his jerseys like that. I hope he doesn't get traded to another team and spoils whatever it is kind of momentum they got going. Because he's pretty much put out himself as a very toxic individual. No one's going to want to be working with him. No one wants to be around that. I knew something was wrong when he sat down with Amala Ekpunobi over at freaking PragerU. I told you, anyone who goes over there who is black to work for them is not to be trusted. And I have yet to be wrong or corrected on that. Even to go sit down and talk to them. That is very mind-boggling to me. So I think I know what his end game is, but I'm here to tell Jonathan Isaac it's not going to last long. And I don't even need a crystal ball to tell me that one. I know it's not going to last long. Them two, he is nothing more than a tool right now that is about to be broken. He just doesn't realize it yet.